Hello, one and ball, and welcome back to day 2 of Conquest Clash 3. Almost got those numbers mixed up, but I managed to do it, I think, right again. How am I doing, Coolbz?
Yeah, you're doing pretty good.
Okay, sounds good. I'm just a little bit sweaty, given the, passing of the torch from the other day. How much stamina we're on?
We are on 80 stamina with 1 stack of sweaty. It's gonna be tough, but we're gonna brave it for everyone here. We are gonna make sure.
Making our way up to the top of the mountain here. Only one, however, may reach the peak, and it's not going to be us. It's going to be our lovely competitors for the day. So, getting into our second round, I believe we have Bolimar versus Arctech, the revised Crimson Angels against Arctech in a, if I'm not mistaken, rerun of the finals of Bring the Heat 2, another one of our premier tournaments over here. These two players, I believe Mabel mentioned in the last stream before closing out, some of the, perhaps it would be fair to say, the 2 strongest players in all of Beastieball history. Arctech has been putting up results for a long time here, and Bolimar, as far as I'm aware, newer to the scene than Arctech, so perhaps a bit of a, strongest in history versus strongest of today, unless I just don't know my history, in which case I'm a fool. I am a fool, as it turns out. My bad. I am just a fool then. In which case,
you're being shadow communicated with.
I'm getting telekinetic vibes that I'm actually just foolish, which, always the case, often the case for a clown like myself. I should change my favorite beastie to Goofster. But we have some lovely teams here for you. Let's get into talking about them. Coolbz. We didn't get to see or commentate at the very least any of Arctech's teams yesterday. So would you like to talk about what we've got ahead of us here as far as Arctech?
Sure. I actually am interested in a lot of Arctech's teams, so I am down to discuss them a little bit here. I was enjoying watching them, even though we didn't get to cover any of the matches. I was watching in the stands with everybody, waiting for my 8 wipes to wear off, sitting here.
Waiting patiently for exactly the right moment to strike. Like some kind of hunter, even, you might say.
Like some kind of hunter, yeah. And speaking of hunter, we do have Hunter Crawler. This is a team, Hunter Crawler, fun fact, is actually a big pivotal piece of this team, so it is worth mentioning first. The team is all centered around pressure on that Crawler, dealing massive amounts of damage to anything that hasn't come in yet, using Feint on Voltoxin, which I think is really interesting, along with Pierce on our Mantis. Sort of this double threat with Splinter and Stare Down, locking Beasties in, lowering their stats, knocking them out as soon as possible, with one of the strongest mine hits in the game if you can set it up proper. And Crawler is sort of the final piece next to Lay Traps, making it so that with both Traps dealing damage to you for switching out and Crawler dealing, honestly, 150 to you for switching out, there's just no escape from getting debuffed, and it's incredibly smart. It's one I really like, especially with the Frazzle Stinger Tactical Pass Platian, if I remember correctly, named Menacingly, which I really appreciate because it is just standing there. And Trapper on the Alugus, as I've already mentioned, sort of single-handedly carrying that Traps role, though, which I think is pretty cool as well. It manages to fit all of these archetypes into one and really takes advantage of the positives of Feint without really running into the cons of it compared to ramping. So I enjoyed this one a lot. The next team we have would be the Vigor Beam team, and this one is probably the most interesting. I think I'm gonna need some time after the event, but this one might be one of my favorites that is in the Conquest Clash so far. No commentator bias, I guess. Maybe I shouldn't have mentioned that, but Rousing Strike, Drum Cheer, sure. This Hopra is not offensively invested, fully invested in its tank, using Cheer to buff up Masquery, Hydrome, and Opposer, notably Opposer and Hydrome, only attacking move being Vigor Beam. So the team relates all the way to getting to the net, healing with Hardy and Restoration alongside Drumpus to essentially just become immortal use healing moves and always pressure. And you can see there's even interesting investments on Opposer and Hydrome to essentially not max out their attack, but rather invest in enough defenses to live one of everything and then be able to dish out some damage. So I really enjoy the structure of this one, especially with the call out on the treat Fruffolks, making it so that you can consistently heal your tanky beasties and give them a defense buff if your opponent manages to keep hitting them, and a torch pass to keep you as a lifeline. It's a really, really fun one. Vigor Beam as your only attacking move is very typically something that is considered like taboo by a lot of team builders who play Beastieball and things like that. Like, you wouldn't really consider doing that, but seeing it in full force and doubling down on it, not just one beastie but two, it is a lot of fun to watch.
Absolutely.
The final team that
very
Arctech has
precise
brought,
piloting.
yeah, the precise piloting is really, really important, and I'm sure we'll see some of that for the team to get a win. The final team artwork that we have here by Stardust, thank you Stardust, is based on, it is this standard Bring the Heat 2 championship team with body offense, using Lunaptra as sort of a connecting piece with Confident Pass, alongside Cheer Set Charily and Confident Pass Provoke Conjar, to always be ramping, always be dealing consistently high damage, and every serve hurts, every point gained is too many resources lost if you're fighting this team, and it can take away games incredibly quickly. I'm not sure if there's much else to comment on that hasn't already been said, considering this is a very standard offensive team, but I think the Conjar is probably the big piece, alongside hyper spiking Delusia with Cyclone, which I think is also a really interesting development. Torch Pass on the Lunaptra does also give you the ability to bring Castlete back in, which, you know, 2 Castletes might be better than 1. Fun fact. And Tornado Ball on the Conjar gives you a really strange range of disruption next to Cyclone that most offensive teams don't cover for. You'll see, especially hyper-offensive teams, don't even really take into account sort of defensive moves like this, but this team's really interesting in the sense that it has a ton of depth. So that's all the teams, I think, on Arctech's side. Of course, on the stream, we did already introduce Bolimar's teams only around 45 minutes ago, but we can reintroduce them if you'd like, your bestie.
Certainly. For a quick recap, we've got the revised Crimson Angels, known as Crimson Paradise. Very, very storied team in Beastieball history. And not only that, but a new version of a storied team featuring some new members added to this illustrious ranks. We have Goofster and Yamith joining in place of Bandycraft and Hopra, who have, dispersed from the team, leaving their fellow starter Castlete behind in order to find greener pastures perhaps on Bolimar's other 2 teams, so they are still along for the ride, fear not. But this team is a pretty, I would say, to me at least, was the epitome of tri-type offense, though to Bolimar merely a class in ore farming for all available. And it is a incredibly solid team, leading off with that Alugus sneak attack. Previously, I believe, precise Alugus, because it would nullify a lot of the more dangerous counter serves in the game. And that is staying the course. So some things, never change. Some things are just perfect exactly the way they are. With the new addition of Demolish to Castlete, though, and this Majesty on Yamith, we've got more ways to play around some of the strong field effects in the game, especially Rally would be the one that jumps to mind. We saw that yesterday, Rally giving Bolimar a lot of trouble in the matchup, and I mean, giving everyone a lot of trouble, to be fair, because Rally is, in fact, quite powerful. So I'll be interested to see how that matchup plays out today, if we get to see it again. Second, we have the Divine Dinner Time team, which I gotta say is one of my favorite names of any team in the entire tournament. Right now, we've got Heliath ringing the dinner bell, and a whole host of unsavory characters coming along to chew through the opponent's health bar with sweat, with grit, with shared snacks, and with quickset, overpower, whoosh, all of the above. A lot of very, very oppressive attackers that want to get to the front line and deal a ton of damage, while sweat ticks down and makes the opponent's decisions difficult. And finally, the Debugly team. Bolimar, Debuggly's greatest warrior, I would say, and this team is here to show it off. We've got Debug Cutie, Debug Ugly, Debug Snacky for sneak attack, and Debug Horsey. All of these Debuglies together, by their powers combined, and also LeBron James, I mean just the game, the Hopra, we are able to create the ultimate fighting force of Beasties with well-rounded stats, the ability to redirect opponents, and a lot of telekinesis to take advantage no matter where the opponent hits. It is a great, well-rounded team that hits hard and does its job. And I believe with that, we've covered all of the teams that we can expect from today's matches. If you had to say, BZ, between these two players that have played many times before, who would you say is your favorite to win today?
That's tough. Favorite or favored? Because that's also like you're asking me to bring out my biases in the middle of a bunch of amazing competitors. How am I supposed to do that? I think every match will be good.
I agree. I mean favorite in the sense of not favorite in the sense of which guy. Who do you want to win more for personal reasons?
For my own prerogatives, my own agenda.
I mean, who do you expect? Who do you think either player has an edge in today's game? I personally, I'll say it. I feel like, Bolimar, I think they're coming up from the bottom on this underdog bracket, and they're ready to sweep all the way through to the finals and get that revenge match against Charge. I think that's my prediction for today. What do you think?
Fair enough. Both players actually would get their revenge match against Charge, though, because of the fact that we commentated Bolimar and Charge yesterday for everybody, but then after us was the winners finals between Arctech and Charge, and both lost to Charge, who is now waiting in the grand finals patiently, very, very patiently, which is uncharacteristic, and that's what makes it all the scarier. We have I think both of these players could very well make it. I'm just excited to watch this match in general because, as we've discussed, both these players have been around an incredibly long time, usually considered in contention. Obviously, every player was invited here because they're one of the best, but it is just fun to watch Titans clash. That is why we're here at the Conquest Clash. I think if I had to pick, I would say I really want to watch the Vigor Beam team win, at least. Maybe I can't pick a winner because it would break my heart, but I can at least, I want to watch Opposer deal 120 damage to Castle Eat or something and feel hope in my soul and really just have a fun match. I want to see all the teams do their thing. I think I would be okay with either player. Bolimar, of course, on a tear after the match we saw today, could just rush through and we'd be spectating Bolimar all day, and I think that would also be a really fun thing to do. So
indeed. And with that, it's time to see whether or not Bolimar can make that run happen. I believe we are just about ready to hop into some games here, some very, very exciting stuff upcoming. Will we see the hope, the Vigor Beam pierce through, or will Bolimar make their run all the way back to the top? This game brought to you from the peak of the Alto Alps. Now, two players trying to reach that peak in the tournament bracket as well. Very exciting stuff. Very excited to see who takes it home between these two absolute titans of Beastieballing. And I believe we're about to get into the match in just a moment. I'm interested to see which teams each player will bring. If I had to guess, I was wrong last time. I was immediately went, it's got to be, this has got to be the, Revised Crimson Angels, Bolimar, so comfortable with that team, surely. And then it was immediately the Debugly team, and I was wrong instantly. So I'm excited to see how wrong I can be today when I predict that Debugly team will go first. And from Arctech, I'll say, we're about to find out, I do believe. Let's see.
Hey, you were right.
Hey, we got there. All right. Everyone gets one. Don't get too excited.
Broken clock right twice a day, but you're not a broken clock in my heart. So I think you knew deep down what was coming. We are gonna see Mind versus Mind here, though, and I think that is already getting to make it very interesting, as most Mind Beasties are naturally Mind bulky. We're gonna see here from Bolimar a lead of Debug Horsey and Just a Game, the Hopra and the Hydrome. most likely a Rousing Strike to serve, which will counteract the Stinger on Arctech's side. Although, a little bit of a slower lead from this team. Typically, you know, Debug will walk in, or I guess Debug doesn't help on this team because they're all named Debug, Debugly, the big bug.
The bug itself.
Yeah,
Debug Cutie, the Debugly.
yeah, Debug Cutie, as opposed to Debug Ugly, the Noizard. And now the Rousing Strike has come out, but the Frazzle is going to counteract it. Bolimar, before the Frazzle can go off, is going to switch right into Debugly. A punishment of lay traps, though, dealing a little bit of good damage. Arctech just spreading out 16 damage to both Beasties, playing it a bit slow at the start. But that's what Menacingly here does, just going to ramp up. Although this Stinger could cut it off as early as right now. And Debugly, no slouch, still going to do big damage with that Stinger. Maybe start Bolimar on the right foot.
Absolutely. Yep, Stinger coming out. We see the Frazzle and firing back in return, trying to get this Debugly off the field before it boosts up any further. Both players making solid plays to counteract the opponent's offense. However, that one boosted hit, even though it was just one from this Debugly, has already tipped the scales. We'll have to see how Arctech can answer back and take the advantage while these traps slowly build up in the background. We see the Cyclone coming out from Bolimar, not wanting to deal with those traps. Makes a lot of sense to me, allowing the Debugly to fall asleep here, saying, it's okay. Debugly will sit on the field and chill. It'll be totally fine, surely. Not even worried about this big +2 sweep coming in. Cyclone erasing those boosts. Debugly only 49 from a very, very powerful hit. That said, though, Debugly no slouch on mine defense either, so we're seeing the raw power of sweep here, which is a move that I would say before this tournament has not gotten a lot of play. People felt that it was a little too conditional, but here we see Crikey a little bit out of position here, the kind of beastie that generally wants to hang out in the serve slot. Now been cycloned right into the front. That said, Debugly looking like it may want to switch out here and likely unable to for fear of pressure from this absolutely intimidating Crawlark. We'll have to see what Arctech chooses to do.
Yeah, I really like here the fact that Debugly does have one turn of Tired on it, but because of its study has gained +2 mine defense against beasties who want to ramp when one of them is weepy and one of them who only does damage when something switches. Debugly is completely safe here with the walk back from Bolimar. It's super well played, even with the block from Arctech, only 49 damage. But we're going to see a Provoke come out while Debugly runs back to the front row. Weepy to cut off its defenses and boosts now too, but it just has some flat damage. Really good catch from Arctech, of course. I think getting that play entirely correct, but Debugly just still getting value even if you call it out. Gonna hit this gigantic tool. Knocking something out unless there is a switch. We could see the first point of the game, but I didn't think so. Platian, of course, not wanting to 8-wipe. Switching out.
Yeah, the Weepy about to exact its price, therefore switching out and sacking the point on the Crawlark, which will come back at full health later. Makes a lot of sense. Stingering the opposite slot, seeing that tack pass on Voltoxin, wanting to make sure that its ally is not going to be feeling the love of that tactical pass. Debugly now on low health with no boosts available due to Weepy and also because of the point reset between, the stat reset between those 2 points. And sideways pressure on the field. Going to be difficult not to give up a point here. A real 50-50. Unless... unless the ugly Debug Ugly comes in and the Noizard taking 16, but also 18, just taking 34 total because of those traps that Alugus is able to set, and being able to, but now, of course, Debugly is able to stay in, stabilize with this drums, fire off another Stinger. I think Bolimar just wants to get as much value as possible, especially 1 point up, trying to get Arctech to take the bait maybe and just knock out the Debugly, although Arctech does have the opportunity to set up 4 layers of traps and anything else he desires off of this play, so we'll see what happens. Yes, indeed. Very threatening options here. Now that Noizard has used its clamor up, no more protection against that sideways attack. This Alugus slice looking very menacing. Debugly opting to sacrifice itself, taking one for the team here, potentially walking forward and then taking a break on the bench, but Arctech says no, no, no.
I can't believe that. And now, because that sweep was able to deal exact damage to Noizard, or close to exact, we're going to see that the Debugly will wipe to Weepy on the next turn, setting an 8-wipe and a Sweaty on it for the rest of the matchup. This is a really rough position for Bolimar, even though it's 1-1.
Very true. The bench health looking generally pretty good, but this Debugly, a pretty, as you might imagine, a pretty core part of the Debugly team. And so having it fall 8 wiped so early in the game may leave a significant hole that Archetype will be looking to take advantage of over the course of this set. We're seeing, however, that Archetype's Beasties are not feeling so hot themselves, also looking close to falling victim to the Weepy here. Going to be a tough call from Archetype, probably, wanting to switch out that Alugus, maintain it, not allow it to go 8 wipes. Unfortunately, Debugly itself unable to escape that fate just as pressure switches onto the field with Tac Pass available.
Wow.
This is going to do a lot of damage.
That's doing 79 net to back to that Hydrome, and we're going to see a walk-up plus the Tactical Pass. Nothing survives this big hit from Crikey the Alligator, also known as Crawlerk. And we will see what Bolimar wants to do about that. It is going to actually be sidestepping the Debugly, making sure nothing takes excessive amounts of damage, guaranteeing the point loss, and just going right into the Hydrome. Cool as a cucumber in this situation.
Absolutely. That decision makes a lot of sense. Debugly already done its job, already wiped, wants to get off the field at this point, and not allowing a teammate to walk in and take that fully powered attack. And resetting the situation so that Crawlerk no longer has the ability to take advantage of that forced tag there from Debugly because it's not in the serve slot. Speaking of forced tags, though, this Voltoxin is going to want to get out of dodge soon before it gets 8 wiped, unless Architect would prefer to sacrifice it now so it can come back later. I'll be interested to see what choice Architect makes as Bolimar uses Rousing Strike, I would imagine, to clear off all of these nasty, weepy effects on their side of the field. Very well played. A real battle of wits here. Arctech pulling ahead in the score, but the bench looking a little bit hurt on Arctech's side. Have to make sure and keep an eye out for that as the game progresses.
Decides to take that Voltoxin back, but now we're seeing 30 health, 50 health, and 50 health on that back bench. If Bolimar gets a good position, it may be incredibly hard to bring anything in. Of course, though, Debugly, the hardest hitter on Bolimar's side, wiped for pretty much the foreseeable future. If you're Arctech, you're trying to win before it comes back up, and nothing should be able to deal more damage than it, so maybe this is where you want to be. A Splinter comes out, Armantis managing to lower the Mind Defense of Hopra, lowering the amount of potential switches even more. Hopra can no longer stay in, something else has to. Arctech looking to trade, I think, some bench health, trying to force Beasties out, and then maybe get some pressure with this Crawlerk.
Indeed.
We're going to see a Telekinesis Ego Blast from the Hydrome. It's going to deal really good damage, but Armantis might just walk up for it or even stare down to trap Hopper in. Wait a minute, are we going to see a stare down?
Could be. If stare down comes out, goes for it. However, the drums blocking the Nervous, unable to do its job there. Yeah, unfortunate for Nervous. Cannot pierce those drums. Delusia is the only stare downer who can do it. However,
that's a really fun fact. I didn't even think about that.
I've experimented with a lot of very bad teams, as it turns out. However, Armantis, a much better user of stare down, generally speaking, given its Fortress trait. Felix the Armantis here, doing a good job. However, predicting the switch here, hits the pressure 55 into Debug Ugly, bringing it down to half. That thing will not take another hit from that pressure. However, Crawlerk, feeling the pressure itself, 4 stacks of Sweaty and low on health, wanting to switch out, but is there any safe ground to switch into? With the way the field is looking right now, it looks like there might not be. How will Arctech manage to maneuver out of this position? You
do have to swap the Crawlerk so that you don't accidentally lose on a serve sweep, right? So it inevitably has to be that Crawlerk tags in for something, but everything is taking a lot of damage here. You could switch in Alugus or Platian to live, though, and maybe we'll see that?
It could be, Arctech looks like they have a couple of options to live this point, but if they choose to live the point, I mean, what does that mean for their future in this game? The bench is looking so low, but they only need one more point to take this. It's looking really, really close. Unable to get in the feint to get that really high pierce damage from Armantis. And so this turn's damage isn't looking so high, and Bolimar's bench is not feeling the pressure in the same way that Arctex is. This could really be a reverse sweep for Bolimar in this set, bringing it all the way back.
Yeah, especially with the fact that Debugly is sitting at 2 wiped. It's going to be coming back up almost instantly here, especially if the point is scored. It will come back up as soon as right now, but 62 damage. Bolimar not letting that point go. Of course, why would you? Now you have the ability to just run up with this Voltoxin and Telekinesis Roll Shot, and that seems to be seeing a knockout on everything.
Now it's just a question of whether or not Bolimar wants to take the point now, or whether they want to set up even further into this service sweep potential. I think maybe predicting... Yeah, going for this, perhaps this Ego Blast into Felix here. Felix cannot live this with a block. Walks to the side, choosing to conserve its own health at the cost of the point, but I don't know if it'll be enough at this point. Arctex's bench, so hurt. Only 5 health on the Menacing.
I'm seeing something, and I think we might see the line play down this way, but maybe I'm also just completely got my tinfoil hat on. The Alugus can come in and survive, and it has a sideways move, but then to check that is Debug Ugly, the Noizard, who can go for Clamor to redirect that sideways move and stop the 50-50, basically guaranteeing this situation goes in Arctex's favor. Armantis not able to do enough damage if it runs up here. Alugus no way to buff it. So we're probably just going to see a switch to that Noizard, guarantee one more turn. Yeah, this is rough.
Unless we see pass lay trap sweep. No, not looking like it. Oh no, this the Armantis doesn't have sweep. That's the Alugus. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, unable to Splinter coming out.
And of course, with Splinter and Pierce, this Armantis, unlike more standard Armantises that other players have been running, Armanti, I think it's Armantises, the ability to sneak attack to the front would have helped, but now you don't get that, meaning that and the stack doesn't work anyway because the Voltoxin has roll shot, so nothing can really switch in here. Armantis cannot walk back due to the direction of the sideways move. I think this might be the end of game 1 for us here.
I don't see any way out of it. Absolutely suffocating pressure from Bolimar there. Ironically, not the one playing pressure in this matchup, but certainly putting it on. A very, very close and well-played first game from Bolimar, utilizing the bench health to set up a win. Very funny that does seem to be... It really seemed like the goal of Arctex's team there was to win through attrition, deal a lot of damage to the bench, and then close out with a sweep. Bolimar using their own tactic, or his own tactic against him there. Very, very well played from them.
Yeah. Honestly, it was well played by both players. I saw the line there at the end, but I think before that there was so many decisions that had to be made for the game to turn out the way it did. Jumping into game 2, we'll probably see even more of that high-octane gameplay. Interestingly, this is the only turn that drums can't go up on this Vigor Beam-based team, so this Sweaty is going to go uncontested. Notably, though, Masquerade has Chant. We might see that here, but I'm actually curious to see what Arctech does first here on this very first turn. Okay. Cyclone's out the dugout so that nothing can get grit from the heat wave. Very, very smart. Now Brusleiden is the one who has to take the Sweaty, and it's not built to take it so early.
We'll now have to watch out for... Oh, wow, just walking straight to the front. Very aggressive positioning here from Bolimar, but makes a lot of sense. Brusleiden pretty good at taking those physical hits and probably predicting that Arctech will do a more passive setup turn here. 46 despite the setup. Wow. Good damage through drums, even to a relatively, body tanky Beastie. However, oh no, Heliath mounting a comeback. Holy moly.
Wait. I do think it's worth noting that even though this is insane amounts of damage, earlier we were seeing Heliath hit numbers of 140, 130. This is almost 70, 80 across the board. Arctech's team is so tanky. You can see the defensive investments coming in clutch here. Almost nothing goes down, and a Cyclone keeps everything safe. Yes, and now I think we get to see what I'm so excited to see. Are you ready? Oh, I'm so ready. I'm so ready.
Looks like it's time for a Vigor Beam. Full power. Pedal to the metal. Click the button. Yeah,
Electrolytes the Hydro. Slamming this Vigor Beam. 53 damage, even through block. if Hydrom goes uncontested here again, of course, Drumpus keeping it out of range of that Sweaty, surprisingly resilient. That is an impressive play from Bolimar, though. Running the burst slide in up and down, using Demanding Set to heal it, 30 total health, and this Overpower almost finding a knockout on everything. We could see a Cyclone, though, here from Arctech. That is exactly what happens. Hydrom taking 70, notably Nibbles the Dig'em has come in, which is really interesting because it has Friendship, which might actually put Bandy, along with the damage, out of range of that second Vigor Beam. And with a double block, Bandy is surprisingly safe here. We might see a chant. Yes, a chant to remove the Sweaty on Hydrom, making sure that it won't become too much of an issue, and being able to stomp cleanly on the Masquerie. Even though the double block is coming through, you weren't seeing a knockout regardless, so the extra damage isn't too necessary. Masquerie unfortunately does wipe, which does put Hydrom in a very concerning situation with this quick sets.
True. That's true. It does, perhaps seeing the KO here off of the Dig'em quick set. Yeah, and that looks like the line. The Tool seeing the potential to KO. But not with the ambulance on the way.
Wee woo.
Somebody call a doctor. Oh my god. Wow, this thing really is coming in with this ability to call out and then fly away and give itself the opportunity to tag in again for another 40 health to this Hydrom. Looking absolutely monstrous here. Very hard to dislodge from this slot next to the net. The threat of Vigor Beam, very, very real. Oh, choosing just to double volley and Vigor Beam regardless into the double block. I think perhaps Arctech assuming that Bolimar would not expect the Vigor Beam there and aiming for the KO, a cheeky KO there. Bolimar, however, seeing that coming, choosing to double block the Hydrom because there was no point in double blocking the Flight Beastie here because Flight cannot be blocked due to the way that tagging out works in this game.
Oh, you're right. Yeah, I was actually going to point out that you were correct on it being a guess, but maybe Bolimar, understanding that Flight can't be blocked, just chooses to aim at the Beastie that can be blocked. I think if Arctech wanted to front row and take that knockout with Flight, Bolimar was more than happy to give it due to the position it would offer. Now we're going to see the Cyclone, though, take Bandy back to the bench at 11 health. One of these torch passes, most likely having to bring it back.
Very true.
I don't actually think either of these mole friends here actually have Torch Pass. Neither of them does. So Bandy has to come back in here to try and sacrifice itself. Bolimar, very, very smart play here, basically forcing the game to go 1-1. If Bandycraft gets wiped, and if not, you get a huge amount of damage with Demanding Set Quick Set.
Very true. Yep, there it is. Deciding to sack the point. Makes a lot of sense. Flight as a move cannot be aimed, and so because any move in this game can only actually have one target, and so you have to target your own bench, which means that the move cannot target any specific lane, it only goes straight ahead, meaning that Bolimar has a very safe avenue, assuming at least that Arctech wants to have an efficient turn and get that positioning right. They have pretty good odds of getting that read right and getting the sack that they want so that Bandycraft can come back at full health later on and power up that offense as the, offensive engine that we know it to be. For Slyden, coming in, lots of options here. Probably, though, whooshing to the front and putting on a show with this big overpower damage. That said, wow, Arctech seems so tanky, able to take this hit.
Unbelievably tanky. It almost feels bad to bring this Slyden in. Houdini, the opposer, running straight in, just taking this hit, going to make the damage disappear by clicking dig. And honestly, with Rumpus and dig and potentially drums on the way, opposer looking strangely okay here to just start blocking and stay here. That's one of the magics of this team, and I think one of the big reasons why Arctech built it the way that he did is that the Beasties are so tanky, they just get to sit here. Even if you hit them, you don't make any progress. And I really like that about this structure. We're seeing it really come in handy here if you can't ramp up enough damage.
Yeah, the power of attrition on this team. Quick set to... Heard you like quick set. Yes.
There are 3 quick sets on this team. This team, of course, all about feasting, has all these quick sets ready to eat fast, but this grid is not powered up due to the fact that Sweaty never got on it due to that turn 1 Cyclone coming all the way back around, paying off. This dugout cannot get enough damage. Even though it is so hungry and just wants to eat, it cannot manage to knock out Houdini here, who can now dig, and with the combination of Drum plus Rumpus, probably heal back to where it was before this turn even started.
That is, unless Arctech wants to opt for this double cheer Vigor Beam. Still potential for that. Yeah, it takes the safer line, makes a lot of sense. Ooh, provoking Nibbles there to make sure that the support will be lacking. However, hitting into Hungry Eat means that a powerful shared snack might be on the way.
Oh, you're right.
Stealing some of Houdini's hard-earned
Wow.
health, and then, yep.
This Heliath showing its damage numbers that it used to once again here with the Jazz, able to now show a very accurate 130 again. Thank you very much, Divine Feast. Appreciated. Arctech sidestepping to guarantee that the position does not get lost in the process. I'm really interested because now this opposer most likely will walk up. It's going to take a lot, but as we've seen, it can do that over and over and over again. Although, what is Arctech playing at? I'm very curious to see what the future turns are to get rid of this Heliath potentially, as that's probably the scariest piece. Although with comeback lowered, maybe not.
Yeah, now you can no longer call it a comeback as Bolimar goes up 2-1. That point sacked earlier, by the way, coming in handy there, reactivating the comeback. Another facet of that play I didn't even notice in the moment. Hungry Eat, no fear in its heart, walks straight up to the net, wanting to set up another quick set. However, the provoke stopping it cold. Houdini back to 60 here. And, ooh, Bolimar's team unable to output enough damage to dislodge it. Heatwave coming out, but Hardy does not mind, and you know who else doesn't mind Heatwave? Drums. Drums stopping that Heatwave from even touching Arctech's team. And the attack moving into Houdini here will heal it for 9 health.
Plus the 12
Hardy
from Drumpus. With the dig, it might find itself back at exactly 100 or close.
It got really
it's going
close.
to be 96 here after the dig, and with that jazzed bonus on a full power Vigor Beam, I think this might knock out everything. We'll see. Bolimar, I think potentially, thinking of a sack, just making sure that Heliath can keep its good position here. Of course, Hopra, no offensive investment, cannot keep the pressure up, although the Sweaty might be doing that for it. Heliath going to drain after this turn, although now the score is 2-2, and Bolimar debating switching in that Bandycraft in slot 1, demanding setting this Heliath to the front again. We
Makes
can officially call it a comeback.
It's happening. The comeback. It's time for Heliath sweep. It looks like that Disa moving Divine Feast right into the front where it likes to be, hitting a powerful comeback. Ooh.
Wow.
But Houdini able to survive. And Heliath now going to wipe to Sweat, leaving it unable to shield, and a gaping hole in the defenses on the front lines for Bolimar. And here at the very end of the game, too, will they be able to fill that hole? Yes, Pinky walking forward, bravely walking forward, assuming
very bravely walking forward.
Oh my gosh, rousing strike now. Oh, not seeing a KO on the whole team because of good old Nibbles in the back there. The Dig'em doing its thing quietly.
You're right. It is incredibly interesting because of the fact that you can provoke this Bandycraft, and Hopra's doing just enough damage to keep it from either of the attackers coming in, meaning that a double threat cannot happen, and Bandycraft with Tool is forced to attack Hopra, who can just block. This is really, really smart, but the share snack is going to increase the damage potentially?
Oh, gonna equalize
Cast
those
a block?
bars. Sort of like a pain split type move here. Is it? Ooh, interesting. Bolimar deliberating between calling Aura or going for this share snack here. Wanting to share a little bit of the chocolate bar.
Is that going to equalize it enough, I wonder?
I don't know. Tool 68.
No, you can still block it.
Exactly.
Does opt to.
Oh, not closing it out yet. Still with a powerful attack on the line. Vigor Beam, potentially dealing a lot of damage here. We're seeing that 43. Oh, actually, never mind. These are the frontline numbers. I always forget how that works.
Yeah.
Vigor Beam not seeing the KO on either of Bolimar's fielded Beasties here. And the field now, conversely from Arctic, because of the way that Hopper moved into this forward position, instead of letting a pauser take all the punishment, now the field is looking a little bit threadbare here, moving back to avoid the KO. Unable to get that frontline positioning again, but Tool well and able to threaten this Hopper off the field. What will Arctech bring in? I would have to guess Fruitfolks to set up for a big... Vigor Beam turn here with Houdini, but only one way to find out. The Tool's targeting. Now, yes, perhaps showing some of the weaknesses of Tool here, allowing essentially Arctech to play with a guarantee of where the ball will go. The only way for Bolimar to avoid that was to free ball with Dig'em into the opponent's slot for more health.
But
so
now, because of the fact that that quick set was provoked out by the Bandycraft, Bandy cannot walk back up, has to switch to one of these Beasties in the back. Bolimar cannot stack to reduce the damage. Jazzed Vigor Beam going to go up to the front. Is this enough to knock out the Brosliden, I wonder? I think it might be. Let's see it.
The real question to me is whether or not it can knock out this Dig'em sitting in the front. Nope. Looks like goes for it. 42, very close.
The friendship from Dig'em making Brosliden survive, and the quick set bringing it in. Oh no. It's all falling apart.
Yes, that's what I like to see.
It doesn't get old. It doesn't get old.
Note to the devs.
140 damage. Dig'em, Bolimar's hero, being able to set up this double block, but it's not enough. 70 damage to the Fruitfolks. We did get to see a lot of Vigor Beams, so I can't be too disappointed. Very true. And not to mention the power of friendship saving multiple lethal amounts of damage. Absolutely amazing. Really showing the cohesiveness of triple quickset, which you think might be a bit overdoing it in a sense, but all of them came in handy there. Bolimar now up 2-0 on match point. We may see a quickset in real life if Bolimar can win with the signature Crimson Paradise, while Arctech switches back to mind pressure based offense.
Yes indeed, Castle Elite showing its worth, putting out immense damage right from the get-go. That's life, you know how it is.
Number 999.
Exactly.
Representing the amount of damage that Castle Elite is able to deal. However, if I trust anything, it would be this Armantis or, menacingly, the Platian being able to come in. We can see a tactical pass.
Side really are just standing there menacingly, both of them. At least until the animations get
You know, that's pretty good advertising, to be honest, is that Arctech's running all these Beasties who haven't received animations yet. Look at how much fun they already are to watch. We're seeing Tactical Pass go into Queen the Voltoxin. Not typically what you'd expect to be nicknamed Queen if you've played the story of Beastieball. By Beastieball, by the way. Demolish comes out, though, from the Cass Elite with Weepy, cannot be boosted by Cherry. Though the shield might go uncontested next turn, which is kind of where this team shines. Able to consistently put out this offense is the Crimson Paradise. Able to just shield right in the face of this team. No provoke. No way to really stop it.
If I had to guess, the idea there with the Cheerleader switch is to get that boost from Cheerleader, which can't be taken away by Stinger, and then perhaps to get a Dispel Chant on one of the next turns in order to peel off that Weepy debuff and attack with boosts yet again.
Also, you're right. That's really smart sequencing. Cheering while you're Weepy.
Yes, exactly. Saving those boosts for later. Once Winter ends, reading the shield, very well played by Arctech. 41 damage into that backline, Cheerleader putting a timer on it, making it difficult for it to stay in. However, this Demolish is making it very difficult for anything to exist at all. Living up to its name, both seeing 2 KOs in the field. Arctech forced to choose and gamble for this point. Very well played, I will say, by Arctech, avoiding the power-up on Castle by hitting away from the shield. Ooh! 78. Crikey indeed. This Krullerk taking a lot of damage on the tag in, and the bench now looking hurt. for Arctech. Interestingly, choosing to tag out the castle lead here, not sacking the point. Makes sense, wants to just stay ahead here. Alugas coming in, taking 69. Nice. I mean...
The fact that Crawlerk was able to come in, get the read correct, and I'm sitting here thinking, Crawlerk doesn't want to take that damage, it's so important to this team, and then it's able to just deal that much damage back to the Alugas, force another shield. Castlete, of course, having to run away to the bench. No torch passes or anything to get it back very easy. Bolimar going to have to start sacrificing points to get attackers back. Even though they are up 1 point, it's looking still very, very good from Arctech.
Yes, indeed. And it was I will say, I was questioning the Alugas switch earlier. Actually makes perfect sense now that I'm considering it. The Alugas representing essentially a guaranteed point there for Bolimar, able to tag in and guarantee that one action dump using the Dispel from Cheerily. Oh, okay. Now, however, being sacrificed. Fate beckons, Alugas. You've done well. Return to the bench.
This is really good, though, if you are Bolimar, because having that Alugas back can be so huge. Castlete not being knocked out by the counter serve means it can freely walk back in at such a low amount of health. Looks incredibly disrespectful, but you have to realize the shield is going to just make that such a quick play and very snap decision here from Bolimar. Going to opt for this reach shot to make it even trickier. Eke out even more of this lead if Arctech is scared of the confident pass launch. And Arctech gets the frazzle.
I would be.
Yeah, I'd be too, especially on my match point for all the marbles. But Bolimar able to take advantage of that fear, getting a free reach shot. And now Castlete, though, stressed out, which is also incredibly well played from Arctech, as it can't shield anymore. It'll be asleep.
Exactly. Getting a little sleepy on the court there, no longer able to protect its power-up status, utilizing the shield. Now, a very, very threatened sitting duck, sitting flightless bird, I guess, sitting cassowary on the field. And likely a Yamath.
Right, I think.
I think so. I hope so. Yamath now potentially coming onto the field. One of the only ones that can. One of the things about this new revised Crimson Angels team is that the attackers, there are less attackers on the team. Which means that it is, I do believe, a little bit more difficult to... Oh, Boise, that does a lot of damage.
I'm really surprised by the walk-up from Arctech here, as it means that Platian can no longer stay safe. 78 damage flying at it. The Weepy, of course, stopping the Jazzed. Arctech, unfazed, getting the call correctly, able to leave this Alugas in. This is huge for Arctech, because now you can get 4 traps up. Getting this 50-50 correct might be what can propel him back into this game. So strong.
However, if Arctech is unable to take the point here, the Patience, because of removing that Weepy thing, that Weepy debuff, Patience can now give a defensive bonus. Oh, not seeing the Patience here, and allowing itself to wipe. Makes sense. 4 traps up. Now looking scary. However, yeah, what's really scary...
Oh, but this Alugas.
Nothing
so
else to
Arctech
front here.
Arctech, in making this play, has to get another guess correct. Of course, the Weepy stopping another boost, but how much can that matter? If you get this read wrong, you lose the game. This is a really precarious spot. Queen the Voltoxin comes in and is able to survive. But there's a shield on the Alugas, and you have to survive again.
And not only that, I don't believe there's anything at this point. Oh yes, the only way to win here is, I believe, or to even have a chance still, is to walk this Voltox, is to walk something forward so that it can tag in. If nothing walks forward here, yes, exactly. Seeing the future there is Arctech not falling for it and getting free won by the dump there, still making it a read. Now it's all down to who tags in where. Okay, predicting the tag in the front slot.
Bolimar going for the very standard play. But Arctech calling a more complex read. Bolimar just playing the very simple attack the front beastie, get more damage, make sure that the Armantis pays for having to switch in, even if you have to play another turn. But
indeed, a very sensible play, and a play that will launch Bolimar out of this match and into the finals, coming to you soon.
I think that's the first 3-0 of Conquest Clash 3. I think that was. I don't think we've seen that until now.
Yeah, I don't believe so.
Absolutely commanding performance from Bolimar. Unfortunately, this does mean Arctech has to be sent home, but has fought so well this week, and everybody loved seeing the teams. It's rough, but only one may stand, and we are at the last two.
Very, very true. I think it was interesting, that game. I don't believe we saw the body offense team a single time, that Bring the Heat 2 winning body offense team a single time from Arctech in this set. I think wanting to conserve that, perhaps to win in the end in case there was a matchup that Arctech really felt it was necessary for. I was interested to see that, whereas obviously because it was a 3-0, we saw all of the teams from Bolimar one after another. I was wondering about the ordering there, choosing to save the Crimson Paradise, the new Crimson Angels, for last. It was a very interesting decision by Bolimar, one that obviously paid off very well. All three teams firing on all cylinders. And, I mean, a really, really well-played match from Bolimar. That was incredible work.
Yeah, I mean, after watching that first game from home this morning with, of course, the amazing Mabel and Ultra on commentary, Bolimar was playing excellently in that game as well, and is just continuing to make this streak all the way back up through our underdogs bracket and is making it into grand finals. This is very, very engaging stuff. Bolimar on a run of a lifetime against the top of the top. There's no greater than this. Has to be feeling pretty good right now.
One might say they're feeling like they're on top of the world at the peak of the Alto Alps over here, playing their games with that very dramatic Big Moon Bash lighting in the background. The ominous dark moon overhead.
Wait, shouldn't that moon be gone?
Oh. Perhaps it hasn't updated just yet.
It's been about 5 minutes since the Big Moon Bash has ended. Congratulations if you played in it. But I'm surprised. I guess you just get to hold, because the game doesn't refresh visually, maybe you just get to stare at it as long as you'd like if you stay on the same screen. I really like the aesthetics of this game when the Big Moon Bash is going on, and this is so, so nice to look at. Absolutely beautiful shot, of course, provided to us by Bolimar. Thank you, Bolimar. On top of having excellent play today, you also have excellent cinematography.
Yeah, the aura farming is truly impeccable, as always, Bolimar, I must say.
I was trying not to say it. I really was.
I mean, they're a professed aura farmer. They know what they're about. They know their stuff, and
that is true.
It worked out for them today.
The jacket with the crossed arms, it really does help. And of course, this is actually the old Crimson Angels here, joined with Bolimar, which I think is also really thematic and super cute. I appreciate the attention to detail here. Absolutely cinematic. Yeah.
The writing is this fire? I can't believe it.
If you can't believe it now, just wait till you get to the climax. We're going to be seeing grand finals very soon. Although, before we go, perhaps should we talk a little bit about the set as a whole? Because I actually think it was surprisingly close despite what the score might tell you. Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, I would say so. I think there were a couple, there were some pivotal turns in all of the games that I feel like let Bolimar eke out ultimately an advantage, and some critical reads to be made as well. We saw, for instance, that reach shot banking on the incredible, awe-inspiring power of Castleet in that last game, as well as some of the targeting against the Vigor Beam team. Very, very methodically played from Bolimar, I would say, in those first two games, able to, against teams that are designed to outlast and whittle down their opponents, outlast and whittle down their opponents in turn, and then in the second game, that's my bad, able to outlast that team by consistently setting up its optimal situation, even under duress, making it so that the field was ready for them to tag in strong attackers and then quick set them to the front and take those KOs when it mattered, which is what you have to do against a team like that Vigor Beam team from Arctech there, that was capable of healing so much every turn, capable of really putting on a sort of different kind of slow burn pressure there. Absolutely beautifully navigated, though, by Bolimar, able to take the points when it mattered, put pressure on and make it so that no strong Vigor Beams could be launched, and if they could, they were mitigated by friendship, by blocking, etc., etc. And then, even though Sweat was not really an option to be put onto the opponent's team there, it did come into play a little bit early on because Bolimar was on serve for that game, which is probably exactly where this Divine Feast team wants to be. I wonder if that was part of the strategy. It was once Bolimar takes the win, switch to Divine Feast to get the win on the serve after, because I do believe it's winner serves if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it is winner serves, so I think that might have been part of the strategy. Something interesting I saw in that match as well that I wasn't really able to comment on is the fact that that is the first team that we've seen that can actually survive the Heliath onslaught that is trying to just feast on you, as the team implies. The fact that Arctec's Beasties were able to survive was such a big boon, and we got to see just how the tanky investments really worked out. The fact that there were multiple plays as well where Arctec was able to aggressively walk something up, knowing Bolimar doesn't want the Vigor Beam Beastie in the front if the read is wrong, just targeting it to make sure it stays in the bag. Hopra just running to the front row, locking attackers out. Incredibly good showing, but I think the fact that that team with quick sets and everything was able to just deal so much damage, it once again showed, similar to the matchup with Charge versus Arctec, it's one of those things that Vigor Beam team is incredibly powerful, but one of the big problems with it, of course, is the fact that if it explodes, and that Sweaty makes it really hard to come back. And there are so many ways to deal high damage in this game right now that it feels really hard to stop all of them, even with really smart investments.
Very true. Once Heliath hits the field and once those boosts start to stack up, you get the 1.3 times from Determination, because everything on the field is sweaty because of Heat Wave. You get the quick set, you get the front row boost. I mean, once you got all those things together and Heliath making a comeback, once all the numbers align, once all the stars align, Heliath was able to output absolutely monstrous damage, and not even these Titans with Vigor Beam, with Restoration Hydrome healing 24 every turn, and then, an additional 40 from that tag-in from Frufolks. Oh my gosh, wee woo. The Frufolks.
Yeah.
The ambulance, unable to, and also notably, that call-out unable to show its worth in that set because of how much jazz there is on Bolimar's team. I think the matchups there were very, very good. Bolimar choosing a great order for their team and finding some really good matchups with the way that Arctec chose to maneuver their teams. Quite honestly, once it got down to the wire and it was just the Crimson Angels, the Crimson Paradise, or revised Crimson Angels, versus all three of Arctec's teams, it's very difficult to win from that position. The Crimson Angels are a very well-rounded team, capable of dealing with a lot of different situations, and so to be able to defeat them with 3 different teams in a row is a tall order. And of course we saw Bolimar able to close it up with their signature team, Lickety Split, in a hard-fought but excellently played game from both players. And I gotta say, it was an honor. It was an absolute honor to commentate. How you feeling about the matches, BZ?
I mean, if we're talking about it being an honor to commentate, I started Beastieball with the second Conquest Clash, my fault. The first for me, when I was a wee little lad learning Beastieball for the first time approximately 1 year ago. It's not that long. It really got me into the competitive scene of this game though, so I've been so happy to be here. But I was going to mention before we fully sign off in a really emotional manner, or comical one, I don't know how it's going to go yet. The fact of the matter is, I was really interested in that final game too, because not only do you have to win against the Crimson Paradise 3 times in a row, which is a tall feat from anybody, the fact of the matter is also having the 2 shields was so good against Feint, against Lay Trap, against everything that Arctec had. The fact that Bolimar did not drop a game to that team before having to bring out the Crimson Paradise really felt hard to come back there from Arctec. Super smart to bring the best for last, or presumably the best for last. Excuse me, my voice just dropped off there. But yeah, presumably the best for last. I'm not sure how Bolimar feels. Maybe Heliath is winning over in the hearts of many right now.
Yes, indeed. And speaking of which, I do believe it's time for us to pass the torch once again. If your voice is close to giving out,
It's
why don't
true.
we wipe and
I
get
am
back to the bench over here?
I am feeling like we have to lose another 20 max stamina. We do have to step out. I'm feeling the sweaty has kicked in. It's actually really hot outside, so it really did actually happen. The sweaty
Same over
has
here, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure same for everyone. Good luck out there, everyone. Make sure to get your air conditioning however you can. Buy those $20 fans off Amazon, whatever you need. But
Drink lots of
I
water.
think, yeah, hopefully that doesn't date us. The fact of the matter is, I am feeling like the sweaty has caught up to me. I'm at only 10 stamina remaining. I think we have to torch pass again, but there's not enough time for us to come back. This has to be our last torch pass. Your bestie.
Gamers.
I've been
Must do.
Coolbz. This is
I
your
have been
best.
your best friend.
Yeah, I just tried to speak for you for no reason.
It's
We will have
it's okay,
to-
we're gonna torch past each other right here.
Yeah, trying to torch past each other, but we can't. We're both on the field.
Go ahead,
right.
next commentators. Take it.
Take it away for
Take
us.
the torch.
I'll be
Goodbye.
excitedly watching from the bench. Goodbye, everyone. And have a great rest of your Conquest Clash. This one's gonna be great. I can feel it.